Hello, hello, and welcome back to Star Wars Empire at War, as of course the CIS. We are of course still on the Fondor standoff, whereby the enemy has a massive fleet and of course land force waiting to pounce on either Bestine, Yagdal or Sarash. We did stand off at Yagdal previously with our fleet over here. We do still need to reinforce this, I think, to match the power of the enemy over here. We do have incoming at least one Golan 2, but I think really we need more hangars, we need more fighters and bombers, and we need, I think, a few more heavier frigates, really, just to bolster those numbers once again. So at Yagdal, we're also going to create some standing stationary defences here. So we're going to build a Golan at Bestine as well. We're going to, what do we have at Sarash? We actually can't build the Golan for the minute. We're going to build the Trade Federation outpost and see if we can upgrade that later on. What sort of garrison do we have over here? We're going to have to build up on this, aren't we? So I think a couple Hellfires will be great for defense, and some B2s as well will be good. We're going to reinforce the land spaces at Bestine as well. I think with some B2s once again. We do have two heroes here, and we do have the factories to produce some homing spider droids. Those are the true spider droids, and some B1s and 2s. So that should be fine on land there. We're going to build the star base though, just so we can intercept and actually fight a space battle with our fleet over here. But we do also want to make sure that we can upgrade our orbital defences so that we can have a better defence over here, of course, with our fleet. And once that's done, I think we are actually going to build some more carriers over here.
Unit in production.
Build 3 there. At Tyron we shall build, I think, some munificent star frigates here. We'll build 4 of those here, and we can move, of course, this ship over to reinforce there. We will just quickly pause so we come over to Sally Kamai, because we are about to invade this, and I think we get straight in on there. Just double check the scouting once again. We're quite likely going to drop in the bottom right corner over here, and we do have an advanced factory over here which will be producing ATTs and A5 juggernauts. But we do have a good attack power over here, so let's get in on that particular offence now, shall we? And yeah, as predicted, we are in this particular sector of the map to begin with. So it's interesting that actually this isn't the base game's Sally Kamai map, it's actually the base game's Honoga map, which is rather an interesting start. I think we're going to go for some B2s. We'll get 2 of those out, and considering that we'll largely be fighting infantry, I think we'll go for a... Do you want to go for a multi-troop transport? Or should we go for Count Dooku, perhaps? I think we'll go for Dooku for the command and the infantry killing power. And we'll also go for, I think, some dwarf spider droids for the AA anti-tank power. And also get the military field base up and running as well. Just scout ahead very quickly to see if there's any build pads close by. I haven't played the Honoga map for quite some time, but it's defined by this bridge, I think, over here to actually get to the enemy base. I don't think you can skirt along. You might be able to skirt along this section of the river. But there's certainly things to think about on the bottom side of the map, like this abandoned factory by the looks of things. So we're going to grab that. Just grab this build pad as well. And we are going to go over to this 5 reinforcement points cap as well. So we'll send everyone else straight over there. And I think over here, can't see that anymore, but we will build an anti-vehicle turret there. We'll send 1 unit of B2s over to the abandoned factory. We can see the enemy is capturing the command post over here, so we're going to have to watch out. Producing some more dwarf spider droids there, excellent. So it's a fairly small map. So the enemy will be on top of us very quickly if they get over this bridge, but that might actually be infantry only over there. Reading from the mini-map, so that's not too bad. Now we actually have this command post. We're going to bring in some greater vehicles, I think. We're going to bring in some AATs, 2 of those. And tempted actually for some Hailfires, just for some longer range anti-tank. I think we'll bring those in later though. Let's see what we get from this abandoned factory. Yeah, okay, we need to come over very quickly. I'll get the anti-tank power onto these walkers. So we'll rip past our infantry very quickly. And once again, the dwarf spider jaw is very, very flimsy. Having very mixed results with the dwarf spider jaws. We're getting out some ACPTs of our own here. I think we'll send these over here. And we'll just block the enemy with these throwaway units there. So, I think what we'll do is heal up over here. Bring over the AATs. And I think we'll go straight for the enemy base. Actually, there's no need to waste too much time, really. So we're going to try and see if this is a ford to cross. Looks like it should be. What have we got? There's a TX-130, interestingly.
I too once walked the path of the Jedi.
I'll just go straight for the enemy base. Probably create a field base over here when possible. Not getting a pop-up available for that, unfortunately. As we need people close to it. What do we have over here? Anti-infantry turret. It's all good though. Not a problem. TX-130 still bothering us. Yeah, we do need people here apparently to build. That's not a problem. Do have anti-vehicle turrets here. Do have an AA turret. That's not going to be a problem whatsoever. And we'll concentrate our AATs then onto the factory before that produces more reinforcements. And that should be a fairly easy takeover once we get on top of these. In fact, there is the Senator's office, of course, who forget produces quite a few different garrison units here. Quite the long list there. And there's the ATT. Doing a fair bit of damage from the small amount of units we have in this sector. But that does open up their base for us to attack, which is great. I think we'll preserve these units and bring them back because they're not throwaway units. Of course, we need to get rid of these clones. Absolutely wiping the floor with the buildings, of course. We're going to heal up, so we will produce a back to healing station over here. And then we just need to curl back round and I think destroy these units. And if we had the site, I might just bombard that. Waiting for the cooldown on that though. We might just lose the site as we lose the landing zone though. Don't want to bombing run them because it's quite likely going to move. And I don't want to use a bombardment just on that damaged ACTE. We have lost the site unfortunately. I think we'll move forwards with Count Dooku and the AATs over here. We'll take this command post. Probably quite a few units over here that don't necessarily need healing up. And I think we're being blocked by the construction over here. So what do we have over here? Let's get rid of this TX-130 while that's isolated. And I think we're pretty decent over here. TX-130 is going down very quickly, but that is a garrison unit. We'll capture this. They are retreating though, which is very, very nice takeover of Sally Kamai. And that is actually a very nice pocket in our rear once again dealt with. That's going to be a nice either factual world or of course moneymaker once again. We'll double check once we get our own buildings up and running over here, of course. Bring Grievous back over here. And I think we'll start over here. Bring Grievous to the front lines, I think. We'll bring him to Trandosha. We are building more buildings on Boz Pity as another front line over here. Because that is... oh, what do we have over here? A mission being reminded of? Okay, we need to make a couple heavy factories over here for a Dreadnought heavy cruiser. Can certainly take that. Increase in production. Send stealth units to Munilins and Arcania. Could certainly do that. For Sabaoth Hex deployers aren't necessarily bad. Government reconnaissance, that's interesting. That's just giving us some tips. That's okay. Yeah, just giving us some tips over. We do need to think about Mandalore as well. Let's double check that while we think of it. We are currently on 5 influence. So what can we do to upgrade that? What can we do to boost that? Well, we need to finish off the final orbital defense strength there. And I think really, once we push into Quarter 6, which I think we should do as quickly as possible, we don't have to make Mandalore a fortress world anymore, because the ion cannon over here is actually stifling our credit income. It's costing us 150 credits, whereas the base income is 150, and we're getting the bonus of 150 from the tax collection agency. That's negated by the ion cannon there. So what we might want to do is remove that, build a trade port over here, and then actually get, I think, the influence producing building there. So that might be a good shout. Let's do that now while we think about it. And that should boost us to at least 8 influence, whereby we can choose to join the Death Watch. I think we're going to go for there. We're not going to build too many orbital defences on Wayland, because we do have a fairly decent ground defence there, and the orbital doesn't produce too much for us unless we get a trade port later on. We do get Quarter 6 and we'll be surrounded by Ethor later on, much later on. But we do need to think about what's going on down here. There's actually no Praetor there for the minute, and they don't have a hypervelocity cannon, so I think really we want to go and nullify this a little bit more while that's the case. So let's make sure we are deploying correctly. While the game catches up there, we have press play. We'll come in, and I think that should be absolutely fine. Let's pray that they don't come in with anything nasty on our way there. And that's actually not going to be the case. Excellent stuff. So we have a fairly decent size fleet still. We do have 11 Dreadnought heavy cruisers there, which are going to add up, of course, and we are going to take some damage in this battle. Now, of course, the problem with those Praetors disappearing is the question, where the hell have they gone? That really does worry me a tad, actually. But I think we're going to pull back a little. I am listening to your comments, and someone did give the excellent tip of coming into hyperspace and into the battle a little further back so that we don't take damage while we're travelling in, and I think that's excellent advice there. Very basic, and I should have thought about that myself. Bring in a bulwark, because it's very nice to see the bulwark 2s. Certainly bring in all of our carriers. We're going to try and space out a little more as well with our main formation, I think. We will, I think, come in with both bulwarks just to bring some meat. And that is going to limit, of course, our population a little more. We're going to bring in a couple munificents at the back. We can't bring in more than one. That's absolutely fine. We'll bring in the Gazantes then. Munificence is excellent damage, and because we have the technology, they'll also produce some fighters and bombers. Not too many, though, of course. We will push in, though, with our battleship here, the battle cruiser. Gotta love the Lucrehawks. We can sit back and just rip apart the acclimators before they can even deploy their fighters with our bulwarks. So we have to get rid of the victories, because they will deal a good amount of damage to our bulwarks, despite them having a lot of hit points and such. 8,000 hit points, in fact. We will want to bring in our own fighters and bombers, of course, as well, quickly. Yeah, look at that. The victory is really ripping apart this bulwark, actually. So get rid of the turbo lasers as quickly as possible. And then we'll move over to this. Get rid of the turbo lasers there. Absolutely fine. We do have the credit income to replace larger ships now, of course. We're dealing very well, I think, with these victories. Have to bring in this munificent though. Bombers have to go for something like these dreadnoughts. Look at that, really ripping apart this bulwark over here. Probably should have sat a little further back with that. It's not a problem. It's really not a problem. Can't begrudge any losses like this. Just very quickly get rid of this pelter so they don't start healing over here. That's absolutely fine. We'll just attack move in here. We're actually going to lose that bulwark, but not to worry.
Go after the stragglers.
Would have liked to have seen a few more bombers come out from us though, considering what we did bring in here. I think we'll bring in our hero at the back,
The mission is complete.
and we'll bring in an auxiliary pursuit destroyer over here. Yeah, should have brought our bulwark in a little further back so that our Lucrehawk can, of course, absorb the fire. So a minor mistake there, but again, we can't begrudge it too much. Just make sure we're tying up their bombers, of course. Go over here. Try and get rid of this acclimator, I think.
General
Move
Grievous frowns on such
to support.
ineptitude, usually with a lightsaber.
Just micro a little bit around here. So our ship over here is pushing a little too hard, if you ask me. We're going to get that onto the minor corvettes and such. The enemy is retreating, which will mean that they do, of course, preserve their ships, and most importantly, they'll preserve the massive land force over here. But this does push them away from Fondor, and I might want to actually push in harder and take Fondor for myself, just to deny them that Dreadnought's capable shipyard, of course. So once again, a bit of a shame to lose a bulwark too. Probably shouldn't have happened, but not to worry. Did actually manage to destroy some UTAAs and infantry support platforms there, which is rather interesting. But so the big nasties from that particular fleet were destroyed with the victories there, but they do come in droves at this stage of the game, don't they? Let's scout the surface. It's mostly speeders and infantry support there, but we won't be able to call in bombardments or bombing runs until we destroy this planetary shield generator, which is right in the heart of their base, and they will be getting some good garrisons out of this senator's office once again. So we're going to have to come in with a good amount of anti-vehicle to get rid of the speeder bikes, which do count as a vehicle as far as weaponry is concerned, what we need to counter with. And of course those infantry support platforms. So we do have some good units over here. Mostly infantry though, so we're going to have to build up a little bit before we do take that fight on. And we have actually already in Swissfan replaced that particular. Where are they coming? It's coming to Onderon. I believe that's in this particular area. It certainly is. I don't think we can get Grievous over, of course, without fighting Kashyyyk. And that's rather a bother, actually. We're going to try, though. What do we have on the surface of Onderon? We do have some good ground defences. So that's not to worry too much. We do have some turbo lasers as well as a minor artillery and a hero. But we are going to try it with Grievous. We'll pick up the frigate here as well. We do have some fights at Kashyyyk though. And yeah, we'll take this very quickly. And that will answer where one of the Praetors has gone at least. They've gone all the way to Onderon. We're certainly not going to be able to defend that with simply a Trade Federation outpost and our light frigate shipyard. So we're going to have to fight this on the ground map, of course. However, I'm fairly confident that Grievous's incoming fleet will be able to take this on, so long as, of course, they don't disappear. We will have to win the ground battle on Onderon, though, won't we? See how we go. Can we get there before they deploy? That would be great. We can certainly catch them out here. We're going to have to deploy somewhat intelligently here, so we'll try and do that, of course. Let's have a look. And I'm suddenly wishing actually had an ion cannon on the ground over here, but not to worry. We'll come all the way back with Grievous. We're not going to launch right in their face because we will have the unmitigated firepower of all of these victories and, of course, the centerpiece Praetor there. We are going to deploy, of course, with fighters and bombers as much as possible here, I think. Having said that, I think we'll keep a couple in reserve there. So we do have some Dreadnought heavy carriers, which will be used later, I think. For now, otherwise, we want some. I think Gazantes would be a decent choice. The multi-role fighter bombers gunships, which are great. We will bring back some heavy frigates. You know I love these things. Bring these to the fore. We'll bring some... We're going to need some big ship-to-ship combat weapons here, actually. I don't think diamonds and point defense are going to be too needed, really. So, What do these gunships bring? Heavy fighter laser cannons, not particularly useful. Captors for some defense. Wouldn't mind. We'll bring in one more of these. And then we will have to bring in, I think, some point defense of some sort. So we'll actually bring in some diamonds, scatter those about, and that will have to do, I think. So I think we might actually want to bring Grievous up a little bit here. Bring our carriers back. Did deploy those as far back as I thought it might have done. Not to worry. We can bring Grievous forward so we can take the brunt of the damage. I think should be fine against the Praetor. We have matched him against the Praetor before. But not with so many victories. We do have Venices in reserve, I believe, as well. Going to bring forwards all of our fighters and bombers, of course. We will want to control group those when they all deploy. They're running already. Okay, interesting. I would have liked to have taken a fight there. Not much we can do about that, I don't think. Just double check. Nothing really has. We don't have the Omnis to bring in, do we? It's rather a shame we can't deploy interdiction mines there, actually. Because I would love to have destroyed that Praetor. But okay, alright. That's a non-issue there, then. All of that planning for nothing. We'll see if they come in with a ground force, though.
Reporting in.
Because they might still have that en route. Makes you wonder where that's going, then. That could go to any particular location between Umbara, Kashyyyk, and Quarter 6, really, couldn't it? And that is going to be a problem. So, AI's conquered Balmora, that's interesting. I thought they took that ages ago, to be honest. Let's produce some probe droids, shall we?
Vehicle in production.
And see where those might have gone. I'm going to bring back our attention over here, though. Do want to conquer Fondor, really? Let's try and build some tanks, I think. Okay, so there's a minor fleet over here, and they did actually have a hypervelocity cannon here. Might want to catch these out as quickly as possible, actually. Oh, yeah, we certainly want to catch these out. I think we just popped up over Deca and Moida as well. That's rather interesting. Far too many fronts to take care of, aren't there? We're definitely going to want to catch this. Definitely going to want to catch this. Okay, let's move in as quickly as possible, I think. Yeah, I'm fairly happy to take that. Fairly happy to take that as it stands. We'll have to watch out for hypervelocity cannon, but that should go for Grievous, who can take that damage. Okay, very worryingly, that fleet has disappeared from Kashyyyk. Sure, might want to go to Umbara. We do have a hypervelocity cannon. We've got nothing there then. Okay. Interesting, so it's not there. We're going to have to scout Quarter 6 then, aren't we? We'll probably move Grievous soon because we're going to take damage. Oh, we have a minor fleet coming in. Well, we'll intercept that. They are in fact on top of Umbara now, so we'll chase that down in just a second. Okay, so now we're actually fighting above Umbara, where we have tried to intercept an enemy fleet, of course. It is weaker than what we previously scouted, and once again they do have that hypervelocity cannon firing at Grievous. We're going to get Grievous to, of course, focus on the Venator over here as quickly as possible, bring the rest of our ships into range to support, of course. Bring our gunboats onto the Peltor. I think they should be okay against that. Focus over to the Dreadnought cruisers, I think, once again. Gets onto the Arcton on the side, dealt with the Venator, gets onto the Carrack, pleased with a couple of ships. Grievous is rushing straight in there, taking the move rather than the attack order apparently once again. Bring over our fighters to support him before enemy bombers come out and deal with some nasty, nasty damage. Have a lot of dreadnoughts in this battle though that the enemy does. A lot of dreadnoughts. Ion cannon not going exactly where we'd like it, so we have to get on top of this Carrack to help out our fighters and such. We can see some fleet tender coming in from the Peltor, which is now down. Excellent. Let's focus a few ships onto this Dreadnought once again. Move in a tad with these ships. Try and support Grievous once again. Get the mass amount of bombers onto the Dreadnought cruisers. Absolutely brilliant over there. If they fire onto the front, that'll be a lot of hard points down very, very quickly. Grievous is going to lose his shield, so he's going to start taking some considerable damage. We'll have him finish this one off. Focus over here. Make sure we're trying to spread a little bit of firepower. Get as many hard points down as quickly as possible. And I think we do actually have a ship accidentally brought in over here. I thought that cancelled by going into the nebula, but not a problem. Once again, let's rip across, I think, this one. We'll get a few minor ships onto this tiny corvette that's coming around. So that'll just block a few ordnance. A few shots coming in. Get back onto our bombers. Can't double click them. There we go. Let's get onto a rear ship. Get the gunboats, I think, over here. We are ripping them apart, but I'm wary of Grievous's health, max health. Don't want to lose him to such a minor fleet, really. Get rid of this carrot very quickly. Get rid of the quad laser cannons, I think. The turbo lasers and such will do a lot of damage to us. Just constantly making sure our firepower is aimed at the correct target. So let's make sure these fighters as such don't come in properly, because that will hurt Grievous a lot. Going to very quickly control group of bombers. Looks like the bulk of the enemy force is dealt with, so we're going to guess our bombers are set straight onto the fighter bays and hangars, I think, of the enemy base. We should be fairly safe now. Just need to do this as quickly as possible now, so that high velocity cannon is firing now. So that doesn't have too much more of an effect on us. So let's pull in with our carriers, just in case they get caught out. We are going to have to move in over here. Go for the fighter base so the enemy can't launch any more garrison units.
Cannons armed. Closing on target.
We're starting to lose some fighters. We will, of course, attack move closer over here. Get our tri-droids over to deal with the enemy fighters. Bring these over, please. Because I'll go the rate of the slowest ship, unfortunately. We did lose some very, very minor ships in that battle, and Grievous actually got down to a slither of health after a couple more hits from that hypervelocity cannon, but we did destroy quite a decent size of the enemy fleet there, 14 Dreadnought heavy cruisers, and in fact a fleet commander in a Venator there, very, very nice to get rid of indeed. So we're going to have to pull back though. I think we'll go back to Onderon for now. See what's on quarter 6. Once again, nothing there. Very, very interesting to see that. I think we're going to move Joninga over there then, and that will be a small raid. Let's come back over here and see what's going on. We do have some carriers and such, and I think we do want to try and create a few more tanks and such over here. We'll create some B2s, I think, on Bombers Qoribu, so we do have some decent ground troops. Let's try and get over back to Tyron. It's not letting us select that. It's rather interesting. There we go. We can see we've still been producing the AATs there. Let's come over to Sarish and try and produce, I think, some spider droids would be great. And we'll pull him back to make sure he's safe there and try and bring this in. Any trouble bringing that. It's rather interesting. Again, shouldn't need loads and loads, but we are going to get ripped apart, I think, if we drop with the incorrect units. We can't currently see because the sight is worn off there, but not to worry, we can remember what's happening. Let's try and pay attention to Munilence over here, because we are forgetting about that. Come back down here. We can see the enemies still. We're going to just have to take Kashyyyk in quarter 6, I think. So let's try and get on top of quarter 6. That means we can bring some units forward. Come back over here and scout Munilence and find something very nasty, I'm sure. We'll check the mission log in just a second. Let's see, reconnaissance is brought up anyway. I'm not too bothered about mercenary platoons and building the ion cannon there. Not too much, but there is of course a hypervelocity cannon once again to hinder us a little, which will claim some units from this particular fleet over here, because there's more minor ships there. Actually, in fact, I think we do have a Lucreholt there, which is rather interesting. Did forget about that. So we might want to move over to that as quickly as possible. But quarter 6 has been calling for quite some time, so we're going to take that, I think. Just double check our infantry. Fairly balanced army there. Quarter 6 should be fine. Let's go for that. It's a rather interesting map on sorry, not Wayland, Quarter 6. Very open. A good amount of command posts to take. There's very good points of interest. Look like abandoned factories and such about, with a sensor array in the middle. That one might well be worth taking with its central location there. So we're going to bring in, I think, some crab droids. Going to bring in some B2s. Going to want some... I think we might want some AATs to begin with. And we will... Let's see, I think an MTT as well for the B1s that can bring. As well as some good anti-infantry support. And we're actually going to build a support field base here and try and capture... We're going to go southwards here, go for this command post as well as the abandoned factory. So push down there immediately with the support of the MTT. Push the crab droids in this direction just to see if there's a build pad about. So there certainly is. Come down. You can see a build pad here, so we'll just secure that quickly. There's nothing over here by the looks of things. This appears to be a choke point for the rear. So we'll just double check. It's very interesting movements over here actually, very interesting terrain to take. Bring of course the support down. We'll take a crab droid units to take the abandoned factory, supposedly over here. We can't see another build pad there, which is rather interesting. We'll make this a military field base. Now, I think here would be a good place to deploy some artillery, protected by some crab droids. Interesting, very, very interesting indeed. We'll send the support units over here as well. I think we're going to send a couple units towards the sensor array here. And what do we get out of it? Oh, we get a Juggernaut, that's rather interesting. It's very different for us. You can see the enemy poking about. It's a speeder. We'll move with the MTT then, I think. So this Juggernaut does largely come as an AV, so I think we're actually going to protect with that rather than the MTT, and otherwise we'll just move on forwards. See one unit of support there. We'll keep this support over here for the just blocking our own units here. Just blocking our own units. You can see the enemies curling around to our flank with the capture of the command post there. We'll just move forwards now, I think, straight into the enemy base and down to this command post, as well as the refinery there for an extra credit boost. Been very quiet though, been very strangely quiet. But that sensor array will help us with our artillery, which I think, can we fire out that far? Apparently not, that's rather a shame. What we can do is find a more central position on top of this sensor array though. So just reinforce that a little more. Actually, that should be in range to defend here. It certainly is. Do some good damage to that. Can we hit this before that deals with our turret? Looks like it's struggling. Terrain there, that'll do. Let's sit once again on this sensor array. Capture the refinery here. And we're actually right on top of this command post. I think what we'll do is bring in some gunships. Do like to see some good gunship action. We'll bring in all of them. Some massive raiding potential there. And otherwise we'll just go straight for the enemy base. We're going the wrong way there though. Deploy over here. And that should give us some very good map control there. Actually going back for this damaged speeder. Excellent. Try and take out a little manually this clone squad. Should have some good tracking on that. Excellent stuff. Let's go for this clone squad and stop them harassing our back line. So let's try and scout around with these, shall we? Used to love piloting these in Star Wars Battlefront 2. They acted as the landers, didn't they, for the space battles. Very fun to see, in fact. You can scout ahead, getting a bombing run. Unfortunately, can't do bombardments, which is rather interesting because we do have Duoningo as a... well, we can't bring anything actually. That's because they have the planetary defender somewhere. AA cannon there. Oh, that's the planetary. There we go. We'll take that then. Now we could just attack the base as it is. There's a lot of units over here. Let's pull back. We have AAT, enemy AAT, interesting. We'll have to pull back then. Taking a lot of damage very quickly. That's some scouting, that's some knowledge for us. Get rid of this defending shield so we can bring in some aerial support. And what we'll do is we shall turn this into a repair station. Come back over here to repair. Taking our time with that defender. That does now mean we can bring in bombardments and bombing runs, which is excellent.
Ready.
What did they have over there? Let's say turrets. Let's get rid of that very quickly. Off we got over here. Let's get rid of this. Get the MTT to destroy the clones over here. Very, very good at doing so, as you'd expect, but the enemy is coming in with some good reinforcements here. Have to deal with some elevation issues as well, so let's just push that a little harder. Do see a tank as well. Try and get him on this, shall we? Get the artillery down here. Focus on to the AT, please. Clearly captured an abandoned station themselves. Get rid of that before that does some nasty damage. This is taking a lot of damage. We don't really have any good anti-tank because the AATs are in the wrong position there. Not to worry. Get the MTT here. Start deploying some droids. I believe the MTT B1s are actually more powerful than your standard B1s. Get rid of this. And you know what, so I'm getting a little fed up with this. I'm just going to bombard that. It's taking far too long. Guess onto the tax collection agency there.
What are your orders? Commencing attack.
That's a lot of firepower. Find some cover.
There we go. Lovely stuff.
Weapons armed.
We can actually trample, I believe. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is a crusher. And the enemy is actually retreating there. Excellent stuff. So we shouldn't have taken any losses there that I know of. We did get the bonus from the refinery as well. Okay, it's a speed bonus. Interesting. Interesting. That's now something out of the way. I think we saw that the enemy was going to invade Wayland before we did that. So we'll just pull back. We do have the ground forces there. Might want to put some defences on Collar 4 as well, actually thinking of that. So we can see the text message here saying they're going to invade Wayland. Okay, running very slow as, as we get more units about. And I think we will finish by trying to invade Fondor because things should be finished over here now. So let's go for that, shall we? So once again, Fondor is actually a completely new map from memory. It's not the base game map, which is always very fun to see. We do start with 5 possible reinforcements, funneled straight into a 2-point command post with an abandoned factory, of course. Then we've got the choice of going through, I think we want to push, how many points is that? That's 3. That's also 3. I think we push towards the south here and go around and go for the victory points here. So we're going to start with some AATs once again. We're going to start with some B2s. We'll start with 2 units of those. Ventress and Dirge maybe not the best of choices considering that the enemy is largely speeders. So I think actually we're going to go for some spider droids.
At maximum unit capacity.
And we'll go for a support base here so that we can heal on the move. Instantly move up with our starting B2s, I think. And that will be able to claim a build pad there. And of course the abandoned factory will be great as well. So we'll start over towards the abandoned factory with 1 unit. It's quite nice to have the close by command post here. Enemy is going to take that victory point, so hopefully Doesn't work in their favour when we're forced off the planet, because that'd be rather a quick end to our invasion. And that's actually a droidica factory. That's rather interesting. That's crates B1s. Okay, okay. Military field base here. We do have these support droids out. That did get instantly destroyed because we timed that badly. It's not a problem. Instantly move down to the south then. We'll take care of these build pans on the move. Get some B1s over here. Just have a look over here. We might send some B1s to this abandoned mining facility. Actually, not a bad idea. Let's do that now with everything there. So we can get there in force. Finding some ISPs there. They'll be destroyed by the AATs. Always a little bit underwhelming are the AATs, I find, actually. Just a tiny bit underwhelming. Don't do the damage that I really think they should do. They're quite fragile as well, surprisingly fragile. That's unfortunately a trait of the CIS units from what I've seen. We'll take a build pad here, perform a, or build a anti-tank gun there, I think. Sit back here. Yeah, you can see it's mostly speeders, so our simple anti-infantry guns aren't going to do too much, which is why I quite like to bring in the spider droids. We can see we're taking a fair bit of damage already, though. Moving a bit harder. Where's the... That won't save us in the heat of battle, but we do need that support unit. We lose very fragile once again. Terrible formation though, that'll be the problem there. Get rid of that. Okay. We can move forwards here and look at that. Okay, interesting. They're going to get held up here for a tad. We can't bring in any air support though until we push the shield generator, which is going to be a problem. So we might have to push the base rather than go for the victory points, unfortunately. We do have some Christophsis style droids. The LR-57s. Rather nasty. Okay, okay. We're being funneled into a nasty, nasty position there. Which will hurt us. We do take... Okay, it's interesting. No, it's just not available. That's not a problem. It's getting a tag confused there. We bring in dwarves and that now. It's a little overwhelmed. Just a little. Gonna have to bring in some reinforcements. And I think if there is that much infantry, we'll actually bring in a hero and some crabs. As well as some more of our own infantry, because I don't think our vehicles are doing quite what we wanted. We are going to have to make a repair facility. Back to healing. Get rid of these, what are they, ARC troopers? They certainly are. Once again, more speeders. And some minor walkers. Not liking that at all. Attacking the major base over here. Surprise, surprise, speeders bring mobility. Look at that. Just somewhere in between vehicles and infantry, and it's actually producing rather a problem. We can push up though with our reinforcements, and that's probably can't push up as hard as we'd like because that's an anti-infantry turret. Come back over here then. Try and deal with the speeders. Yeah, they're gonna overrun us there, but not to worry too much. We have pushed it enough, I think. Might have to take this command post. It's not too far ahead. Move up, take the victory point, and we might just have to sit on that. Constantly changing plans, but not to worry. Not to worry. Gonna have to take these build pads actually, because we're just gonna get rushed once again if we don't. There's a lot of wrist rockets. See what mass B2s can do there for you. probably shouldn't have made a back to healing station. No, that's definitely a misclick. Definitely a misclick there.
Turret constructing. Base.
We can actually take this reinforcement points and build a base there when possible. So now it's just sitting and waiting, I think. I think we're going to abandon the idea of pushing. Although, yeah, we'll take the victory base there. Take the victory base. Well, holding the victory objective doesn't seem to be working in our favour there. We do have complete control over it. We certainly waited as long as we would usually do for a victory there, so we are going to have to push the base. It's not a problem, they only have garrison units available now. They do have a very nasty anti-infantry turret there. We have to try and circumvent that. We're blocking our path in there. Try and sort out our formations. AATs can deal with that quite handily. It's actually going for the B2s there, which is rather sad. I think we'll curl up around the corner then and try and produce a small flank with Venturers and such.
You cannot strike me down.
Turret constructed.
Do have the power generator here. They don't seem to do too much, unfortunately. They do, of course, affect turbo lasers, but base shields I've not seen so much, at least not in terms of the planetary defense shields. But I'm sure they count differently than base shields, don't they? So that might be the problem we're having there. So there's the planetary shield, and we can destroy that, call in bombardments and such on the rest of the buildings, I think, just to make this quick. And there you go, so we only lost a B2 platoon there, despite coming in very roughly in that landing there. You can see what a speed of defense can do for you. But that will have to be the end of the episode there, everyone, I'm afraid to say. So we now have cleared up this little corner of the map. So I think really, it's tempted to get rid of this cloning facility, but it's not the most useful strategic point for us. And that does open us up to a couple angles there. At least we do have a choke point here. If we could take back Jura, that would be an excellent choke point defended again. We can make Fondor and Jura some fortress worlds, as well as Cato and Moidia there. Surtigasu won't remember we have Deku and Moidia, which is very, very important indeed. And reinforce that. We have shitloads of credits in the bank, actually. We're going to just reinforce this a tad while I remember, actually. Get some Hellfires out are quite useful. So, that will be it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the video once again, and we shall be back next week for more as ever. Please do leave some feedback in the comments section below. I do like to read that. It's very useful to hear your feedback and very enjoyable as well. So in the meantime, I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.